We've had Just Stop Oil activists got jailed for defacing or painting over some artwork again. Which is, like, it's so funny to me. It really is that, like it's funny how quickly the right-wing comment pieces flip, to vitriolic anger and bloodlust when it's the right person, doing this sort of stuff. When it's an Extinction Rebellion person or a Just Stop Oil activist, it's like instant switch. I'll throw them in the gallows. Like one minute they will, basically be suggesting that Britain is an authoritarian state right now. That is, I've seen that written down by serious people with straight faces. Starmageddon. We're basically like bloody Russia, is the sort of stuff that they come out with when it suits. Because, if you don't know the story that I'm alluding to, right, when people said some things on Twitter, right, based on disinformation and Andrew Tate and Nigel Farage sharing this stuff, when they said the things on Twitter, when they incited the racist violence, when they turned up to those riots and lobbed bricks at policemen, well, those people are in prison now. But the conservative voices of Britain are like, oh, well, these people, they just got a bit caught up in it all, didn't they? I think, what was it Lee Anderson said? He was like, I just think they're working class lads, just got all a little bit carried away with it. I think they just, they all got a bit caught up in the moment, in the violence, is what happened, in the disinformation. And yes, they got a little bit carried away, Aid. But, but fundamentally, they said some things. They protested. That's really what they were doing. They were protesting. And now what's happening? Now they're going to serve a 5 stretch for it. Just for a little bit of activism. Aid. And I read this stuff. I'm like, oh, all right. Like, first off, right, it was your lot that criminalised protest. If it was so much as noisy and annoying. Remember? Now, I haven't personally surveyed the terrified asylum seekers in the hotels that were set on fire that week. But I would imagine that experience, at best, on a good day, could be described as a little bit noisy and a tad annoying, I think. Would comfortably cover that experience for me, if that was me. When you're seeing the smoke and flames dance up the corridor towards you and your children, it's like, what happened to you? You're covered in soot. Singe marks all up. Yeah, they dragged me out of the Ramada Inn just up the road, and they poured kerosene over my head. They waved a match in front of my face. They threatened me. They said they were going to burn me alive. Jesus Christ. They called me a filthy fucking foreigner to my face in front of my children. That sounds fucking terrifying. You must be traumatized. Well, yes. Yeah, I am. I mean, it was actually really annoying. So that's the first thing. Second thing. Yes, people get caught up in violence. Yes, they do. Yes, they might have got a bit carried away. But unfortunately, in legal terms, there is no recognised defence for getting a bit carried away. It's just not. When it comes to violent criminal activity, that is not a defence. I'm sorry to break that to you. It's either lawful or awful. Take your fucking pick. The third thing. How come the tattooed, cider-swilling thugs who were spray painting the P slur across people's family home walls outside it, how come the guys who were dragging people of colour out of their cars and telling them they were no longer allowed to go into the town centre of that town, all of these things happened? How come that violent protest. That just violence is really all it is. How come that is frustration and activism, but actual non-violent activism like this is so witlessly jailable? How do you square that? There's packed prisons. We always talk about that on this show, don't we? That are struggling for cells. Meanwhile, this guy over here, this rioter, this St. George Cross tattooed British bulldog tattoo on his shoulder, all of that stuff. This guy, who is actually a violent threat to people's lives, this guy put the fear on the streets. Whereas this one put paint on a painting.